Gracyn Sawchyn signs his entry-level deal. How unlucky has Carter Verhaeghe been? And an argument for Sam Reinhart being the most complete Panther.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Wednesday, November 6th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News. You can follow me on X at MondoMan12. Follow the show account on X and Instagram at @LO_FLA Panthers. And shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So, Florida Panther fans, grateful to be back here on the show once again to talk everything in the world of the Florida Panthers. Even with everything that's going on in our political climate, I hope that whatever side you lean on, if you're coming to this podcast, that this is still a little bit of a therapy session for you, and that we could just forget just for 30 minutes of everything that's going on in the world, regardless of what side you guys lean on. So that is just a few sentences that I'm going to say about everything that happened in the 2024 presidential election. So, but hey, everybody has a job to do to make sure that they are living their best life to what their standards and morals are. But going back to the hockey side of things, no, it's Wednesday, but no Winans Wednesday on the for this show. So I'm going solo for today. We hope that Jacob Winans is feeling better. He woke up a little ill and was unable to record today. So now everything in the world of the Florida Panthers, Gracyn Sawchyn, Panthers prospect who they drafted in the second round last year in the second round, has signed his entry level deal. And this is a prospect that we were extremely excited about, one that was seen as someone who slipped in the draft. A lot of guys had him ranked around the 30s, and then the Panthers were able to grab him at number 63 overall, just coming up the Stanley Cup run. And for Gracyn Sawchyn, averaging a point per game with the Seattle Thunderbirds, an opportunity to play in the Memorial Cup, which unfortunately for Seattle lost in the final for them. And then the success continued the very next year when he was traded from Seattle to Edmonton for the Oil Kings, and then still producing, scoring goals, distributing the puck. So definitely a guy who could make plays, drive into the zone as a center for him, and also getting the A this year for the Edmonton Oil Kings, and still producing well. 20 points in 12 games, 8 goals, 12 assists there, and also was a big part of the rookie showcase, the two standouts for him and Hunter St. Martin for the Panthers. Hunter St. Martin, a recent 6th round draft pick for him, not playing with Medicine Hat. So a lot of the Panthers prospects that we are hoping that the Panthers eventually either bring up or use as a trade asset to make this Panthers team to continue their competitive window. This is very important for them. I mean, we spoke about what Bill Zito has been able to do with flipping guys to bring NHL ready players into the mix. I mean, we spoke about how Devin Levi upped his stock in the World Juniors back in 2020, and then having that as a big trade piece for the Panthers to bring in Sam Reinhart, which eventually helped win a championship. So a very important time for the Florida Panthers while they're still trying to compete, and which they're still in a great position to once again repeat as Stanley Cup champions. But at the same time, just what they're able to do in the development stage of them. I mean, they're still, you inked St. Martin. Yeah, you inked Gracyn Sawchyn. There's still one big prospect still to ink in Jack Devine, who's in his senior season at Denver University in the NCAA. So that's still one to look out for. But Gracyn Sawchyn, 19-year-old, right-handed shot, 6'6", feet flat, 154 pounds. Great hands, as we saw in the shootout, especially in the shootout in the rookie showcase against the Tampa Bay Lightning. There's that highlight that really went around Panthers Twitter around there. And honestly, for the Panthers, if he is not used as a player who is going to be part of a trade, probably his ceiling I could see maybe somewhere around like third line center. And honestly, the fact that he's learning center first, it's easier for him to shift to wing later on, which is a little bit of an easier transition in hockey whenever you're thinking of guys who start off as wingers and then trying to make that transition to center. The fact that the Panthers up and down there, even in their current lineup, the fact that they have multiple guys who could play both. I mean, we spoke about Sam Reinhart. Eetu Luostarinen is another one for the Panthers. Even recent signings in Jesper Boquist, who can play both center and wing. So the fact that Gracyn Sawchyn is doing this as a center and developing his skills in a league that produces the most draft prospects, at least the more elite ones for them. This is such a great signing for the Panthers for them, and hopefully that they can definitely capitalize here for them. So definitely great signs for them in them trying to just keep this keep the farm moving on up, because at this point there's not the top end talent. Like it's as far as top end talent, as far as the NHL, it's very top heavy for the skill, but not too much depth. As we know, the Panthers have traded a whole bunch of draft picks in order to contend and still make multiple playoff runs. I mean, you're talking multiple years now and just winning one round. Even then, I mean, from 2022 to now, and it's so crazy to think that once this franchise officially broke that door open from 26 years of not winning a single round, that now it's a confidence up and down, whether it's the front office, the coaching staff, even the players who had been there for almost over a decade in Barkov and Ekblad, the confidence that and the belief that this front office and the coaching staff will continue to get it right is definitely something to be confident. And for the Panthers here, where their contracts stand right now, 47 contracts out of the 50 total. So they're not up against it. They might be up against it as far as money right now, which they have just their deadline cap space is looking to be around $2 million around there. So the fact that Tomas Nosek is no longer on LTIR, the Panthers are able to continue to accrue that cap space in order to make a move, whether it's to bring someone on with a retained salary if they do decide to go that route, or if they decide to use if God forbid there is an injury on the roster and there's that space for them, they'll be able to still make something happen in order to bring in some depth. But as long as the Panthers are healthy, which is the number one thing that we root for this team, they will still have an opportunity to still put something on this roster. It won't be 3 or 4 moves for the Panthers. It's probably going to be 1 or 2, and who knows what the situations could be for each player in different situations, where someone has a modified no trade where they get to choose where they get to go. So, and we've seen that over the last few years where multiple guys have forced themselves to Florida. Claude Giroux 3 years ago, Vladimir Tarasenko just last year. So the Panthers getting off to the start, and the Panthers being able to ink guys who have just performed well in the rookie showcases and even in their junior/college programs, you got to be very confident with what the Panthers could do once the trade deadline comes around. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2, where we're going to give a little bit of a farm update for the Charlotte Checkers and the Savannah Ghost Pirates. And we're also going to show a little bit of an image of NHL 25 on what the coaches look like. And the fact that they did not do Paul Maurice dirty, thankfully. We're going to discuss that more next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. And you can now win 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And PrizePicks is the best place to get real money in sports action. Just join over 10 million users to sign up today. Join today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. When Austin Matthews gets back to the lineup for the Maple Leafs, you think he could get more than 0.5 goals this week? Cook up the hot takes with your friends and win real money this hockey season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup at PrizePicks. Run your game. And once again, I'd like to thank you guys for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Wednesday edition of the show. And a little bit of a farm update for the Charlotte Checkers and the Savannah Ghost Pirates. The Charlotte Checkers are 6-1-0-1, the regulation loss and a shootout loss. The leading point getter for the Charlotte Checkers, Aiden McDonough. We've seen him at prospect development camp for the Panthers, but is not under contract. 25-year-old left winger, 6 goals in the first 3 games, including a hat trick. But other depth players who have gotten on the score sheet for the Checkers, Rasmus Asplund, Ryan McAllister as more guys of more of depth for the Panthers. And the great thing for the defense, Mike Bennett, we spoke about him being that offensive defenseman and leads all defensemen in 21 shots on goal, 7 more than the next highest. And also 2 of his goals happen to both be on special teams, 1 power play goal and 1 shorthanded goal. So 7 points in the eight games for the Charlotte Checkers. Chris Drieger, although he has a 3.35 goals against average, still undefeated in the games that he's played with Charlotte. And Ken Appleby, rough game that he played in the game against the Tampa Bay Lightning when they played at the neutral site game in Orlando, but also has bounced back, rebounded well, and also has a shutout on his resume there so far in this one. And also Cooper Black also has his first pro hockey win, so congratulations to him as he's gotten there. Savannah Ghost Pirates 6-1-0-0, leading the South Division with a +14 goal differential. Riley Hughes, someone that we've also seen earlier this summer, leading the way, not under contract for the Panthers. And also George McPhee, son, who George McPhee is part of the front office for the Vegas Golden Knights. Josh McPhee playing for the Savannah Ghost Pirates. Again, another Panther who's not under contract. Another Ghost Pirate who's not under contract with the Panthers. There. But Zachary Ewens, as far as the contracted players for the Panthers down there in Savannah, leading all the defensemen in plus minus and plus at +6. So we have the Savannah Ghost Pirates leading the way there, and the Charlotte Checkers also leading the way in the AHL for them. So great news as far as the farm system for the Panthers. So winning on all levels there as of right now. And I spoke earlier this summer how much pressure there is on Jordy Kinnear to try to develop some of these guys, as the Panthers don't have an embarrassment of riches in the pool for them. So very, very important season for him. But let's also discuss. I'm going to do a little bit of a screen share for just a few moments on NHL 25 now that they have added coaches into the mix. And they did not do Paul Maurice dirty here, as now they have included head coaches behind the bench. And also, this is a reason for you guys to subscribe to the YouTube channel to see this, as look they it looks pretty close to Paul Maurice. I mean, whoever designed this maybe should have designed the statue for Dwayne Wade back at the Kaseya Center. So they could have maybe taken a little tips from them. But some of the coaches that they've done a little dirty, hey, look at Andrew Burnett here. That kind of looks like him, not really, but it's very very fairly close there. But they did John Tortorella pretty dirty there, and also actually this one for the Toronto Maple Leafs looks a lot like Craig Berube. So they actually did a great job of making Craig Berube look like him. The one that you're seeing right now on the YouTube, all the way on the left, that does not look like Rick Tocchet at all. So the Panthers were lucky here that they were able to for Paul Maurice, that he was not done dirty for NHL 25 there for the coaches. But let's discuss more about the luck or lack thereof for Carter Verhaeghe this season. So Carter Verhaeghe, multi time 30 goal scorer for him, has gotten a 40 goal season under his belt. Career shooting percentage of just over 14% for him, but very unlucky this season, as when you look at the top point getters for the Panthers, he currently has 8 points in the 13 games, but you see his shooting percentage compared to everyone else. I mean, look, you're looking at Sam Bennett 19%, Anton Lundell 19%, Forsling 14%, Tkachuk 12%, but then you see Carter Verhaeghe right at the 3.9% there for him, and he's also leading the team in most shots at 52, 10 more than the next closest, which is Sam Bennett. So Carter Verhaeghe playing on the same line as Sam Bennett and shooting the puck more based on projections and based on pace. It looks as if Carter Verhaeghe is going to pass his career high in shots on goal for his career. And obviously for him, thankfully, he got the contract extension done. But also there's another stat on that I saw from Data Driven Hockey, which was shared by Daily Faceoff, on the unluckiest shooters in the NHL. And Carter Verhaeghe is the 7th unluckiest forward as far as shooting in the NHL. So some guys who are above him are Zach Hyman, who it took him a little while to get on the score sheet in Edmonton. There was a point where he almost had no goals in the first 10 games. Brad Marchand, Pavel Zacha's up there, and I mean, for the last few weeks, the conversation in Boston has been just Jekyll and Hyde for them, as only the fourth line was starting to produce for them. You have benchings of David Pastrnak, Jim Montgomery yelling at Brad Marchand, but then 2 shutouts for them, and then they get shut out twice in a matter of just a week for them. But Carter Verhaeghe in this one, the 2 goals, but the expected goals for him are 5.3 for him. So for him, he is scoring 3.3 goals less than expected for him. A career high in shots for him as far as the pace goes. So averaging about 4 shots per game. A lot of the shots even recently have come in the last few games for him. We've seen games of 6 shots on goal, 5. We even saw one where he had 17 shot attempts, but obviously not all of them landing on the net. But what is beneficial for Carter Verhaeghe is the ability to just drive up the wing, off puck, grab once it's a cross ice feed to him, gets a few steps, and then attempts a shot. The fact that the Panthers are also converting off their rebound opportunities, all thanks to Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett has definitely helped out. Even he's helped himself out, and he's also helped his fellow winger out to create chances for him, whether it comes to dumping dumping the puck and being the first to retrieve with how fast he is, or even when it's not him grabbing the puck, a little bit of a touch back to the left circle, and then nobody's covering Carter Verhaeghe, takes a few steps, shoots, and then the Panthers are there to create their second chance opportunities. Which the Panthers, they are 12th right now in the NHL in rebound shots for, and the separation between 12th and 8th is only 3. So it's not that much of a separation compared to the rest of the league as far as 5-on-5. So at the 3.8% that Carter Verhaeghe is shooting at, you expect that to catch up. And the fact that Sam Bennett, I mean, I don't expect Sam Bennett to continue at a 19% shooting pace. So I think that's going to regress a little bit more to the mean, and that we're going to see a little bit more of a balance. But hey, the Broward County Humane Society is going to benefit with Sam Bennett scoring with all the donations there. So I don't have a problem whether it's Sam Bennett getting on the score sheet or not. So that's it's a benefit for him. But also the fact that the Panthers and the fact that Carter Verhaeghe doesn't have this luck as of right now. It just goes to show that something is going to come for him. I mean, 22-23. It took 12 games for Sam Reinhart to get on the score sheet, and everything started to regress back to the mean there. So it's just a matter of time before Carter Verhaeghe once again breaks through. I mean, we spoke about it leading up to his first goal of the season back a few in the first few games of the road trip back in New York. So it's just who knows? We could see an explosion for him in the coming games, as now the Panthers are just one day away from returning to game action at home against the Nashville Predators, who Nashville lost to LA at home the other day and still is not in a great place as of right now. But we're going to transition to segment number 3, where we're going to make an argument for Sam Reinhart being the most complete Panther. We're going to discuss that and more next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And get ready to take the NFL action with America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you can place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Third and final segment here on this Wednesday, November 6th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Wednesday. So, it's once again, we spoke a little bit about this with David Dork on just the fact that Sam Reinhart already signed his extension, and the fact that asking the question, did he get better ? Question mark. But then there's just a few things that I just wanted to look for more supporting details. I mean, we learned this in school: present an argument and then look for supporting details in the argument. So so there was a video the other day on just the Sam Reinhart possibly being the most complete player in the NHL, and also presenting his zone starts from last year. But those were last year's stats. I wanted to dig more into this year for him, and just how dominant has he and the Panthers been so far through 13 games in this season. And plus 13 for him, doing it with different line mates, the ability to play part of the time with Barkov, other times with Lundell, and then getting back to playing with Barkov and then not missing a beat. Paul Murray speaks all the time about Ron Francis. I mean, when you've been coaching hockey and you've seen so many different players all throughout your career, you're always going to make some type of comparable. And with Ron Francis and everything that he's done in his career with Carolina, Pittsburgh, and everything, and just playing for with Hall of Famers around him as well, and also Ron Francis being a smart in the front office with what he's trying to do as far as his build in Seattle, which there's still there came a little bit of there was a little bit of high expectations for Seattle after winning one playoff round, but the whole Vegas Golden Knights expansion draft made the expectations for Seattle a little higher than it should have. So I'm not surprised that the Seattle Kraken are in the position that they're in. So it's still gonna take a little bit of time for Ron Francis to build everything there. But hey, Brandon Montour got a hat trick last week in Montreal. But Sam Reinhart, defensive zone starts is the real key here, and it's really among the highest. And there's only one player in the top 20 point producers that have higher percentage of starts in their defensive zone, and it's by a lot. Nico Hischier with 6% more. Sam Reinhart's zone starts in the defensive zone is 17%. Some of the top point getters are more of guys who are who are starting off in the offensive zone, and the fact that that Sam Reinhart, along with Sasha Barkov, depending on what side of the ice they're on, and the fact that Sam Reinhart has also played center and shifting up to wing, the fact that he could take a draw on his strong side and also bring the puck up, close the gaps on the and win his board battles on the half walls and easily transition there. That makes it so valuable for what Sam Reinhart is able to produce night in and night out on the ice. 17% for Sam Reinhart. And that's and the fact that he's gotten Selke votes, and the fact that positional value when it comes to Selke votes, he's not going to get as much of those as Alexander Barkov, and it's a reputation award as well. It's just like you're likely not going to see Mitch Marner also win the Selke trophy neither, now that Austin Matthews has really improved his defensive game. So that's another thing for that. It's just a position for that a lot of guys who vote for these things, they look at the position where obviously the number one of the key factors into winning a championship and multiple championships is how you are down the middle. And crazy to think that even with an injury for the Panthers, they still have not had to shift Sam Reinhart back to center. And that's the great thing about the depth of this lineup. We spoke about Boquist, Lutheran, and about dual eligibility there earlier. But the fact that Sam Reinhart can take those necessary draws and still exit the zone properly and with ease at times, that is definitely for him valuable. And the fact that he's a finisher. Sam Reinhart getting around the net. Barkov could definitely get in front, create those give and goes for him, which he definitely works really well on those. But at the same time, goal pace for Alexander Barkov for his career, 29 in a healthy season. As far as that, only 130 goal season for him. But I mean, with how well he also works off the puck, which if there is one beautifully executed goal from both Reinhart and Barkov with how well they work together. Just look at that game one goal, the very first one against the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup final, where Barkov has the angle on McDavid. They go up the ice to Reinhart, back to Barkov, and then Verhaeghe as he's shifting down the left wing and then to the net. Perfectly execute on what they can do to make each other better. Even though Verhaeghe is currently not playing on the top line, he's playing with that Bennett line, which is, like I said earlier, despite the lack of luck for Carter Verhaeghe, it's creating opportunity for Sam Bennett. But also the fact that the Barkov and Sam Reinhart are creating opportunities for each other. And even with Sam Reinhart not getting a shorthanded goal prior to being with the Panthers, and the fact that he's playing more of those PK minutes, and also showcasing more of his game. I mean, he was a 30 goal scorer in Buffalo for multiple years. So the improvement there, and the fact that the commitment to his game and all, that is definitely valuable for Sam Reinhart, and how it is a true argument on just more complete, because of the fact that he also has that finishing ability around the net in higher percentage areas, all for him. And the Panthers, as far as a team, where do they rank analytically? Their analytics are really great too. So they are capitalizing on, at least offensively. So ninth in goals, eighth in expected goals for, 15th in goals against, 25th in expected goals against. However, the Panthers have gotten out to multiple 2-goal leads. And I mean, in the 6-4 win against the Dallas Stars, they were leading 6-2, and then 2 garbage time goals. We spoke about the garbage time goals against the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Boston Bruins on that back-to-back. So a lot of times the Panthers have maybe taken their foot off the gas pedal. So those goals against might look a lot higher than they should. And hopefully that things on their end look more of regress once again to the mean of higher in this case, lower goals against per game. So, and I saw quite a few posts on Facebook about the concern about the goals against, but that for me is not a concern for me, especially with how they're able to clear the puck, how they're able to play in tightly contested games when it's a 1-goal lead in the third period, which the Panthers, they still haven't lost a game in regulation when leading after the third period since early March of 2023. Only 4 losses, but all of them came in overtime since then. That is once again an incredible stat for them. And also the Corsi category for the Panthers. Money puck, if you look at their graph, shows the Panthers in the boring category. They're doing everything right as far as possessing the puck and making the most out of their opportunities for them. So that's another thing. And PDO, which is save percentage and shooting percentage combined, you want to be somewhere in the middle. If you're 9-3-1 and your PDO is in the middle, you have that perfect balance of defense and offense. You don't want your PDO to be skewed one way, which the Minnesota Wild on that, they're at a 105, or even in the other way for the Nashville Predators, who are dead last at like 92 for them. So but also for them, it's resulting in just a lot of losses and a lot of noise around them, which we'll definitely get more into as we prepare for Thursday night's matchup, and we'll discuss that more tomorrow morning on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. But thank you guys once again for listening to today's episode of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll be previewing the game between the Florida Panthers and the Nashville Predators, as the Panthers, 9 out of their next 12 will be at home. So this is an opportunity to create true separation in the Atlantic Division. But in the meantime, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on Locked On NHL Network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone and Steel Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez, signing off. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day.